Weekly celebration of greatness in women's athletics. And this segment brought to us by the Second Soul, Stark County, indeed Ohio's leader in all things running and fitness here in Stark County. 2 locations in Massillon at the Towpath Lake and Route 21, and over in the Belden Village area on Dressler in Thursday's Plaza, the Second Soul. And joining us right now from Jackson High School, Grace Taylor. Grace is a sophomore. Grace, how are you?
Good, how are you?
I'm doing great, and thanks for coming on These Girls Got Game. We so appreciate it. Finished 5th at Malone just a week ago, and boy, that got my attention. 2014, just a sophomore. What is exciting to me, Grace, about you and your teammates, you're also doggone young, my goodness, a freshman or a couple of freshmen, a couple of sophomores, a couple of juniors, a lot of youth, and some very good times already. Talk about your own background. I understand you come from quite a running family.
Yes, both my parents were runners. My mom and dad both ran at Arkansas University.
Do you know what years they were there? Can you ballpark that?
80s.
80s. What you'll have to do, maybe you can tell me, Dina Castor, the former Dina Drawson, did they overlap? Was she there at the same time?
Oh, yeah. Yeah, both my parents ran with her.
Oh, no kidding. Wow.
Yeah.
Dina is a real hero to me. I always have thought that she is, and I've told her this on the radio, in Dina's mind, in my mind, Dina is the toughest American athlete, male or female, any sport. She's the toughest one.
Yeah, very impressive.
Yeah. So your folks at the University of Arkansas, your mom was a cross-country state champion at Ravenna Southeast, is that right?
Yeah, 3 years in a row.
3 years in a row.
Yes.
Is that intimidating, having parents of that accomplishment?
Yeah, very.
Now, did they name you Grace so that you would have grace? So you'd understand there's no pressure here?
Maybe. I don't know.
Maybe, I don't know. I remember your mom, now that I see her maiden name, Julie Diaz. I remember. Am I saying that correctly?
Dias.
Dias. I
yeah.
remember the name because I would just read it in the papers all the time. But, so wow, what a pedigree. Now, do you run with them on a regular basis? Did they get you started out as a little kid? How did that start?
My mom is the Jackson middle school coach, head coach, and I just started running with her in middle school.
So, like 5th grade, 6th grade, what year?
7th grade.
7th grade?
Yeah, 7th grade on it.
Did you feel, and have your parents told you, I mean, obviously your times are very good, maybe your teammates think the answer to this is obvious, but genetically, do you feel like you inherited some of your parents' gifting?
Yeah, a lot of people say that. A lot of people tell me that.
Do they say that you look like her in stride, or like your father? Yeah?
Yeah, they say that I'm built like my dad and that I have my mom's potentials.
Interesting.
So.
Grace Taylor, our guest, if you just joined us on These Girls Got Game. She is a sophomore at that fantastic running program over at Jackson. I read somewhere, I want to say, Grace, something like 140, 150 athletes came out for cross this year.
Yes, that's correct.
Boy, that's tremendous. You're your own school. You guys should get your own school district, have your own superintendent, your own principals. The running school, the Jackson Running School, that's what you could be. Mm-hmm. Let me ask you, cross versus track, do you have a preference?
I like cross better.
Do you really? What about, as this is being heard on ESPN 990 and worldwide on ESPN990.com, you are probably in a meet, you're probably at the county championships, and the weather is probably miserable. At least that's the forecast. Rain, inclement weather, do you like that?
Yes, my favorite.
The rain or just adversity, period? I mean, what kind of weather gets you most excited?
Both, actually.
See, you're like Dina Castor. I think Dina wants, you're like a former Jackson runner, a good friend named Emily Pritt. Do you know who Emily is?
Oh, yeah, uh-huh.
She liked lightning bolts, meteorites, asteroids, barbed wire, and bombs going off at the same time. That was her idea of like a good cross-country event.
Wow. Yeah. More interesting, the better.
More interesting. How about Boardman this year? How'd that go for you?
We didn't run Boardman this year.
Oh, you haven't run there?
Mm-mm. Oh, we went 3 times last year.
Okay, people love... I always hear about Boardman and mud, and you always hope for mud when it goes to Boardman. Do you like the mud?
Oh, yeah. Yes, actually.
You do. Amazing. We're talking with Grace Taylor because as just a sophomore, she finished 5th at Malone. Malone, one of the top races in the state, and you do that. You run 2014. And you're off to a great start. Her second best time ever, highest finish ever in an invitational. What about Grace, a PR then? If 2014 is second best, what is your PR?
1942.
1942. You ran that when?
Last year at Strongsville, I want to say.
So as a freshman, 1942. So what was the goal from a time standpoint? I know cross is kind of a different animal because some courses are faster, some conditions are faster, some fields are faster. So it's more about winning the race than it is about the time per se. But no doubt you're trying to develop as well and keeping an eye on that. Is there a time goal you set going into the season?
Last year my goal was to break 20. And this year, I want to get down to 1930.
1930. Now, tell me if you run a 5K, which is 3.1 miles in 1930, I bet you know the number. What mile pace is that?
It'd be like 6:20s.
6:20s.
Yeah.
What about in the spring when you are running track, Grace, Taylor? What events would you prefer to run? Are you a 3200 girl, or do you mix it up some?
I mix it up a lot between the mile and the 32, but I like the 32 more.
So like more the distances. Have you run any longer races than 5K? Maybe in summer, some of the different road races?
No, I've never gone longer than a 5K.
What about the future? Did your mom always stick to those kinds of lengths, or did she ever go out farther?
No, she stuck to the just to the 5K, and then my dad he preferred the mile.
Wow, so speed is in the pipeline, at least you hope.
Yeah.
Well, very, very good. Again, Grace Taylor, a 10th grader. She has tremendous teammates of great talent, and we'll mention a couple of them, if I may. Chase Kinney and Jody Musser, who are juniors on this year's team, and Grace runs number 1 and sometimes shares that distinction with Jody. And then also Emma Dillon, right?
Yes.
And what about 9th grade? Don't you have a freshman who's doing some good things this year?
Yeah, Nikki Tank.
Say her last name again, please.
Tank. Nikki Tank.
Just T-A-N-K.
Yes.
Nikki Tank. Okay, very good. So all of these girls will be coming back next year. What about goals for this season? You're number 1, but you're only a sophomore. Chase and Jody are juniors. Is there kind of a captaincy that you share, or who provides leadership and kind of making sure that all the girls are being challenged all the time? Do you all do that? Do you provide that leadership to some of the others? How would you characterize that?
Jody takes a big lead with all the girls. Not necessarily just the 7 of us, more of like the entire team.
Yeah.
A lot of people look up to her since she is the top runner. And yeah, we follow a lot of what she does, and we try to follow the exact things she does because we all look up to her.
What about goals then as a team for this year at Jackson? Have you guys talked about that? Is it getting to Columbus? Is it a place within Columbus? How do you describe your goals for the season?
Our first goal is Stark County Champs, which is tomorrow.
Or today, as they're listening to this, it might be happening right now.
Oh, yes.
Exactly.
Today. And then Federal League Champs is our next goal, which is 2 weeks from now. And then from there, advance to state at regionals. Do
you know where the regionals are this year?
Boardman.
They're at Boardman. There you go. Maybe it'll be muddy. You can have you can run in rain. You can have a good time.
Yes.
Very good. Well, we just wanted to make the acquaintance, Grace, and we're thrilled to have talked with you today. It's obvious that you have such a great running tradition there at Jackson, but it kind of goes in cycles, and cycles come rolling through. Emily Pritt was a part of one back in the day with, I'm trying to think, Hallie Busta, I think, was the sister in that grouping, and it kind of goes like that, and Maddie Schuler was a young'un back in those days and so on.
Yeah.
And it looks like this next era right now that you're a part of can do some very special things. So, and maybe on the boys' side, even a similar thing is going on there too, although they do have seniors this year. But all the very best to you, Grace. We appreciate your time.
Thank you.
Hopefully someday we'll have to talk. We'll have to interview your folks someday and get the inside scoop on Dina Castor, what she was really like. And inquiring minds want to know. So, very good. Grace, good luck to you. Thanks for coming on. And whenever people talk about Grace Taylor, we're going to say, that girl's got game.
Thank you.
There it is. Grace Taylor on These Girls Got Game, back with our final segment. This segment has been brought to us by the Second Soul, Stark County and Ohio's leader in all things running and fitness. Back with East Griscock Game right after this.